Hello and welcome to Technology and Education Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Kendall. In this podcast, we are going to look at 5 different articles and see what they have to say about the health of an organization. Hopefully, by the time this podcast is over, you'll be more familiar with some of the following concepts that these articles mention, as well as why they're important from an organizational standpoint. First of all, mindfulness, then trust, social capital, collective efficacy, and professionalism. First, I want to talk about an article that is entitled Social Mindfulness and Trust, Necessary Conditions for Each Other. School mindfulness is basically the desire to keep doing what works, but also to find which processes don't work and to figure out a new and better way to accomplish the same thing. You're figuring out what doesn't work and trying to do the same thing using better processes, better techniques. In order for organizations and the people who make up the organizations to be mindful, an atmosphere of trust needs to be created. Employees need to know that it is okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fail. Without continued failure, one would never achieve the occasional success. If people aren't comfortable with putting themselves out there and trying novel ways to accomplish different tasks, they're not going to end up doing what they've always done. They are going to end up doing what they've always done, which is the opposite of mindfulness, which happens to be mindlessness. Big surprise, right? Mindlessness is just following routines for the sake of sameness, just doing what you've always done just because it's what you've always done, and it's a lot easier to do what you've always done rather than to change. The idea of mindfulness is important in an organizational setting because mindful employees are the ones who are going to continue to rethink and re-see and renew old conventions. I think about Apple's current slogan, which is something along the lines of think differently. Apple is thriving right now because several years ago they strived to think outside the box, another one of their slogans they've used in the past. If an organization is mindful, then it must be, if it's not mindful, then obviously it's mindless. And this type of organization may be quite successful for a season, but if it does not continue to adapt and change to meet new demands and challenges, it will not last very long. I think of Kodak, which has been a wonderful company over the past 100 years or so. I think it's a pretty good example of a company that has lagged behind in changing, lagged behind in being mindful, that is. It hasn't kept up well with the changing technology in the picture-taking industry, and it's gone through some pretty tough times as a result, and it's been in the news lately. Talking about downsizing and whatnot. In order to achieve mindfulness, I would encourage team leaders to cultivate an atmosphere of trust. Like I said earlier, encourage team members to take risks, and when those risks end up as failures, continue to encourage. Never punish or react negatively to a risk a team member makes in the name of mindfulness. The next article I want to mention is the effect of learning organization culture on the relationship between interpersonal trust and organizational commitment. Man, that's a lot of words, it's a mouthful, but the basic idea here is that when people trust each other inside an organization, they are more apt, more likely to take ownership in the organization. This is important for any organization. I think leaders always want their team members to take pride in what they do and who they work for. This will increase the quality of their workers' output. They're going to do more, and they're going to do more better. Do more stuff better, that is. Don't get on to me if my English teacher is listening. By creating an atmosphere of personal trust, an organization is ensuring its own continued growth and betterment. The best way to create an atmosphere where team members can take ownership of their company, or their team, their organization, is to make sure people trust each other. And one way we can achieve this is through providing team members with various activities to enjoy over a long period of time, just sporadically, maybe once every month or once every other month, activities that build teamwork and build reliance on others as opposed to self-reliance, to build the relationships up among the different members of the team. Next up, as far as the literature is concerned, is the social capital as an exchange, is contribution, and its contribution rather to morale. In this article, the authors research social capital, specifically a better way to classify it. I'm not really concerned about how to classify social capital. I'm more concerned with what it is and how it affects an organization. So social capital is the currency with which one buys information or favors from other people. In other words, it's investing in people. If others deem you worthy of information, of the information or the ability that they have, they will be more willing to share that with you. You, in other words, put money into a bank, so to speak, the other people being that bank. You put investments in there, and then occasionally you're able to make withdrawals in the form of them doing something for you or them giving you some kind of information that they have that you need. In an organization, it's important to build social capital among the team. The difference between team members' perceptions of a given task boils down to social capital, I think. If a leader asks a team member to perform a certain task, the team member could take one of two approaches to the task. They could do it with an attitude of, oh man, I have to do this, my leader is lording over me. Or maybe one on the contrary of, man, I really like this person who's leading me, I don't really mind doing this for him or her. And it goes the same for other people that you work with as well. The best way to increase social capital in an organization is through building relationships, asking questions and getting to know others, spending time with them and expressing concern about them as a person. And whenever they have a problem, an issue that you're helping them with, actually follow up on it. Don't just leave them out in the cold. If they share something with you, go back and ask them later how that turned out for them. Next article up is collective efficacy beliefs. In this study, the authors point out that self-efficacy is the belief in one's ability to do what one needs to do in order to accomplish a particular task. So it's just doing what you've got to do to get done what you've got to get done. Collective efficacy, then, is one's belief that the entire organization can accomplish a particular task. So you take it from a singular mindset or a singular definition to one that applies to the entire organization. Basically, what they found was that if a person believes he or she can do something, they're much more likely to be successful, which kind of sounds like a duh kind of concept. While conversely, if they do not believe in their ability to succeed, they won't succeed. I think Ricky Bobby said it best whenever he said, if you can dream it, you can do it, in other words. We're in Alabama, so I think that's adequate there. Further, if individuals do not believe they can accomplish a particular task as a group, they are far less likely to do so. Whereas if they believe they can accomplish a given task, they're much more likely to succeed. We're basically talking about the confidence one has in their organization as far as social efficacy is concerned. I think this is important for any organization because the number one goal of any company or any team or any group of people is to be successful. If the individuals who make up the group or the group as a whole does not believe in its chances of success, then success, it's just not going to happen. Last, in the article entitled Fostering Teacher Professionalism in Schools, the authors found that teacher professionalism was linked both to the professionalism of the principal and the trust among the employees. Again, there's that trust idea. According to this article, there is a major struggle between giving teachers more autonomy, thus creating more trust on the administrator, administrator to teacher level relationship, and ensuring teachers are actually doing their jobs adequately, doing them well. In closing, I think it all really boils down to relationships. As long as team members know they are valued, an indispensable member of the team, they're going to perform. They're going to perform well. The 5 factors discussed today, mindfulness, trust, social capital, collective efficacy, and professionalism, will all naturally accompany any professional atmosphere wherein relationships among team members are purposefully positive and valued. As far as learning objectives go for this course, this particular assignment meets the objective to demonstrate knowledge of issues and models related to leadership in staff development. Thanks so much for listening.